An update now on beloved Canadian children's author Robert Munsch. According to a recent profile in the New York Times, it was revealed Munsch has been approved for medical assistance in dying, known as MAID. Sarah Galashion's following this story. And it's been a few years since Munsch announced his dementia, and he's been very candid about the impact.
No, he has. I mean, for those who are fans, and really, I mean, that is, we're talking hundreds, millions of people across the country, because this is a prolific children's author for decades now. But Robert Munsch he was forthcoming with his dementia diagnosis back in 2021. He did a number of interviews talking about the fact that he could no longer ride a bike, he couldn't drive a car, he couldn't write anymore, though the stories, all of his stories, he said, were still with him, and he believed that they would be with him to the end. But the things that he could not do any longer would famously, he would drop into schools and he would read and give an account of these stories to the children who love the stories so much. Could no longer do that. And since then, really, he has been pretty quiet. We have not heard anything from Robert Munsch until over the weekend. The New York Times published a very moving profile of him. And from it, we do get some insight as to just how he is, what his condition is now. Essentially symptomatic, but very, very much still self-aware. The article also says that when he was diagnosed with dementia, and that would have been just prior to 2021, he did apply for and was approved for medical assistance in dying, MAID. There was no indication in this article as to when he might choose to die, only that it will be his choice. And he does say that he thinks he will choose to die when I start having real trouble talking and communicating, then I'll know. And he also talks about a brother of his who had ALS, who died from ALS but didn't have that choice to make, making it clear in the article that that's not the kind of longevity that he wants. Of course, MAID has been legal in Canada since 2016, and it certainly does have both its supporters and its detractors. But Ian, I think it's probably fair to say that Robert Munsch is maybe the most high-profile person in Canada that we have had speak so publicly about that choice and what went into making that choice.
It's so poignant, this whole story. When I see "Love You Forever," I think about reading that to my kids, and now my granddaughter. You must have read it to your kids as well. Yeah. And that line about loving forever, it was sad to read then. It's sad to think now in terms of where Robert Munsch is, in terms of his dementia diagnosis. What kind of reaction are you seeing to this?
I mean, as I say, there's supporters and detractors to the idea of medical assistance in dying, and so some of the comments are polarized. But I think it is safe to say that mostly what we're seeing in terms of online reaction here is a celebration of the works of Robert Munsch. And you've seen some of the titles flashing by there on the screen, but he is notable for some particular titles, "Love You Forever" for sure, and as well, "The Paper Bag Princess." He was also well known, and this has been written about in many articles, how when children would write into him talking about the stories that they loved, not only did sometimes what they shared inspire future stories, but he also would take the time to individually write back and correspond with these children. And so we're hearing those kinds of stories or seeing those written about online, as well as everyone is sort of sharing their favorite stories. I do want to read one tweet from his publisher, Scholastic Canada, one of his publishers. They thank the Times for this moving glimpse into Robert Munsch's life, this chance to connect with him in a new way. And they write that as proud publishers of Robert Munsch's beloved books, we are grateful for all the stories that he has shared, including his own. We love you forever. Do want to stress that there is no date yet that has been set, that this will be coming at a time of his choosing. And I'll also just point out that, yes, he did say back in 2021 that he could no longer write, but he did have a moment of clarity in 2023, I believe, and that led to the book Bounce, which was published in 2024. So there is a new book that is out there for all the Robert Munsch fans.
Well, he has been a part of generations of Canadians and people around the world, and he will continue to be for sure. Sarah, thank you very much.
You bet.